My name is Mary Carnahan, and I am the e-learning resource specialist with the Indiana Department of Education, and I have the wonderful pleasure of scheduling and sometimes hosting these webinars that we have. We typically have 1 to 2 webinars a month, so we are excited that you guys have chosen to join us today, and we are really happy to have Tiffany and Brittany on the webinar with us today, who are going to be sharing a lot of great things that you will be able to take back to your classroom. But first, I want to talk about a few things that we have going on at the Office of eLearning. We have other PD opportunities in addition to webinars. We have an ongoing book club. We typically do 3 book clubs a year, and we are a little more than halfway through our fall book club. We are reading Ditch That Textbook by Indiana educator Matt Miller. You are still more than welcome to join in that conversation. If you would like to, just visit our website and go to the professional development section, and you will find a link to our blog. That is where we host our book club. It is in a blog, and we have different topics each week, so feel free to join us if you're looking for a professional development opportunity and some PGPs. We are happy to have more people join us. We are looking at some upcoming webinar topics. These are hopefully things that we will get scheduled here in the next 2 months. We're looking at digital content curation and also makerspaces. So if those are topics that are interesting to you that you would like to learn more about, please feel free to join us. Just visit our website, watch our social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, and you will get details on those dates as we get them scheduled. If you are not connecting with us and other educators through Twitter, you're missing a lot. This is a great way to, like I said, connect with us and with other Indiana educators. We would love for you to follow us. We are at INELearn, but also utilize the hashtag INELearn when you are tweeting about things that are going on in your school or classroom so that other Indiana educators can see those. And we have INELearn Twitter chats every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. And this week's topic is charting transitions to digital instructional materials with guest moderator Michelle Eaton. And I believe she has some special guests this week also. So please join the Twitter chat this Thursday night. And now, without further ado, we would like to welcome Tiffany Copple and Brittany Bannister. They are both educators in Scott County School District 2 in southern Indiana, and we are really excited to have them here to share lots of great resources. I think we all in the Office of eLearning have heard them present at a variety of different conferences that we've been to, and hopefully some of you who are on the call today have heard them also, or if you haven't in the past, you will in the future. But we are just excited to have them with us in the eLearning lab today, and I am going to turn it over to them.
Okay, we're here. Can you hear us? I guess
we can.
Yeah.
We can. And as we're transitioning to them, just remember, please use that the chat box to share your comments and questions, and we will they will answer questions as we go, I'm sure, but also if there are any remaining at the end, we should have some time at the end of the call to answer any questions that they haven't gotten to yet. So Brittany and Tiffany, thank you very much, and I am turning things over to you.
no problem. I'm Brittany, and
I'm Tiffany.
We're kind of sharing a phone. We're in Tiffany's classroom here at Scottsburg Middle School in Scott County School District 2, and we're excited to share with you today about how we integrate technology in the elementary classroom, but really a lot of what we're talking about is applicable to any grade level, K through 12. You can find benefit from this webinar today, and we're excited to share with you. So we are two Techie Teachers. We do blog at the blog techieteachers.blogspot.com. We have over 18 years combined experience in the elementary classroom, and Tiffany actually now teaches at the middle school level. So we really have a vast variety of experiences. I teach kindergarten in Scottsburg here in Scott County, and I'll let Tiffany tell you a little bit about herself.
I teach at Scottsburg Middle School, and we're an Apple Distinguished School in Scottsburg, and so it's been really interesting to make the transition to secondary. But what I'm finding is that everything that I did in the elementary has been really relevant in my secondary classroom as well. So I hope that if we have any secondary teachers out there, that maybe we can help you out just a little bit there too.
Okay, so we'll start out by saying what we believe as educators. We definitely believe that technology should be present in every classroom, but there are great ways to use technology, and there are just okay ways to use technology. We believe that you should always try to kick it up a notch. You should always raise the bar. What you did yesterday should make you strive to want to do even better. This little graphic here, I believe, came from George Kuros from his blog. If you don't know about his blog, Google him because he's a fantastic educator to follow. You know, there are benefits to making presentations and prezzies, keynotes, things like that, but you should really use technology to raise awareness. Where you might start a blog, you could amp it up a little bit by starting conversations. You know, I'll let you read through this, but there are great ways to use technology that we could to increase creativity, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Basically, when kids are using technology, it's not using tech for the sake of using tech. It's to allow them to be in the driver's seat and really getting out of their way and letting them be on the stage and letting them discover their own learning through all the amazing resources that technology has to offer. And so while it's great to get your feet wet as educators, you know, you got to start somewhere. The point is that you're always growing and you're always learning. Brittany and I actually have spent a whole day in professional development ourselves, so we understand. We appreciate that you're here at 4 o'clock on your Tuesday with us. But you know, even us, as long as we've been doing it, we want to make sure that it's not about what we're doing. It's not about, you know, hey, I want to use that tool for the sake of using that tool. It's that I want to show that to them so that that becomes an option for them to really create.
Okay. So we're big believers in the 4 C's, which is creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. And today we're going to touch on levels of each of these aspects of learning.
All right, we're going to talk first quickly about digital interactive notebooks. Last summer, or 2 summers ago, Brittany and I were really struggling and looking for a way for A, to reduce some paper waste in our classrooms, and B, to make the learning and to make their connections with what we're teaching a little bit more authentic for the student. And so we researched a lot, and we found the Book Creator app. And the Book Creator app is really versatile. You can use that for a lot of different things. It is a paid app. However, if you get to buy one paid app a year or in 10 years, we really feel like this one's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. Because once we started using this, it's kind of opened up this whole, you know, bag of tricks that we now use with our students. These are screenshots of pages from our interactive notebooks. Basically, what we do, and if you've seen interactive notebooks through Teachers Pay Teachers or anything else out there where students are cutting and pasting and gluing, we're just eliminating all of that. And we load these books with really meaningful ways for students to respond to their learning. So each week or each unit, we push out a book to students, and they're able to add in their samples of their work. So not only now are they, you know, writing about their reading, but they're recording video. They may be recording sight words that they're saying, or maybe we're working on Dr. Seuss and I have them tell me as many sight words you can in 30 seconds, using the app called Quater Pics, and now they can take that authentic piece of their work and put that into their interactive notebook. And I'll be really honest, as a teacher, it's kind of selfish because it's really streamlined our workflow in our classroom. Now, instead of, getting 3 papers a day from students during station time or during, the reading block, they're putting that all in there. And at the end of the week, we're able to quickly flip through that and see everything they've done. We see their video, we see their drawings that they've created, and all of that is housed in one space. If you'll see there on the right, it says Ancient Greece Unit Study Guide. This is an application, a book creator that I started a couple weeks ago with my 6th graders. Study guides really aren't that meaningful if they're just reading a bunch of stuff that you've already talked about. So I really wanted to find a way for them to interact with their review. And so within this, there are videos from myself covering key topics that I want them to do. There are places for them to respond, places for them to add in pieces of their work that maybe help them remember. We've started doing sketchnoting in our classroom. We're not going to talk about that today, but if you want to know what sketchnoting is, if you'll Google sketchnoting by Kathy Schrock, you'll see a great guide there to that. But now they can add in their own sketch notes into the study guide, which allows them to have the visuals that make sense to them and not make sense to me as a teacher. So it allows them some creativity there. You'll also see on the bottom left, it says My eLearning Day Assignment Book. Last year, our district, we had 17 snow days, something crazy.
Yeah, we've had several that have everyone in, I think everyone in Indiana has had terrible weather.
And so our district was exploring options, of course, and so we had a practice e-learning day, which kind of ironically, our practice e-learning day turned into a week off of snow days. So what we did to make it easier for the students and to make it easier for parents, this is a kindergarten example, but within this book, they had everything they needed. They had every video that they would need to look at that day. They had places to put all of their samples of work, and so you're able now, when you put the video in there, they don't have to have the internet at home to be able to use Book Creator. We also added audio clips in there, so we had students read the directions, and we had that audio so that if a parent or a child is at home and they don't have the parent support that maybe they need, they can have those directions read to them and explanation from the teacher. And so there's just a lot of different ways. We could go on and on about digital interactive notebooks. It's hands down one of our favorite things. We have a website, or sorry, a blog that we created. There is the shortened URL for that, but if you'll look at Techie Teachers, you'll see how to create one of these. You'll actually see the inside of one of these books. If you have more questions about that, you can always contact us, and we're happy to share. We are Book Creator ambassadors. Book Creator actually picked up this blog, and it's kind of gotten crazy. But anyway, it's definitely something to check out and something that's really revolutionized our classroom. And so we hope that maybe somebody out there will try that out with their students.
Okay, moving on to another tool we love. We love using the camera with our students, especially for the younger students who may not have as many writing skills or communication skills. They love to use the camera, and if the camera is loaded on every device, I believe, and so it's there, so use it. One that we love that's probably not created for an educational purpose, but we've found purposes for it, is Pic Collage, and we'll show you some of the activities we've done with our kids in that. Just the other day in my kindergarten classroom, we used Pic Collage for math. You'll see on the left, the kids had to choose items from their art boxes, and they had to sort them from longest to shortest, and then they get up and share it with their peers. And to use this app, they just take a picture and they insert it into this blank board, which then they can arrange it however they want. I know a lot of teachers use it for T-charts, which is very valuable. We've done things such as noun sorts, all about me, Pic Collages. We've done all color scavenger hunts. On the right, you'll see our science, one of the science Pic Collages we've done. We do a big unit in the winter on solid liquids and gases, and they had to do a scavenger hunt finding a solid, a liquid, and gas. It's very functional from, I would say, from K to 12 to use Pic Collage. We love it. It's free, and as long as your district allows you to have an app like this, it would be very useful in your classroom. Another app we would like to talk about today is movie making with iMovie. iMovie is a paid app, I believe, on iPad, but there are lots of alternatives you could use to make movies, and we choose to use iMovie because the app is very functional for any grade level. And here's an example of one of the iMovies my students did. In the spring, we do a big unit on zoo animals. So this little guy that created this iMovie decided to make one on crocodiles. So I'll let you watch that now. Okay, so you can see he added text, he added his voice, so there are lots of levels of communication in that one. We also make a lot of PSAs in our classroom. This is an Earth Day PSA we made in our kindergarten classroom last spring. Okay, so there are lots of uses for that. Tiffany's going to talk a little bit about stop motion animation. There are several apps you can use for stop motion animation, but she's going to talk about the best ones she's found for her classroom.
Kids really like stop motion animation. I don't know what it is about it that really draws them in. But last year, I also had a tech club, and when I asked at the end of the year what was their favorite project that we completed, and it was stop motion. So there are several other apps out there that you can use for that. I'm sure some of you probably have some out there that you like, so share those out in the chat so that everybody can see them. But My Create is great, especially for your younger learners. It's very visual, it's very basic, it's not anything that's overly complicated. The students basically, I have them create their background. So, you know, we always talk about not just technology, but how can we add in all of this, and we talk about blended learning. So, you know, students are still getting out their scissors, their crayons, their glue, they're building backgrounds with their hands, they're thinking about, you know, what would look nice in my background. And then they have to create their figures, whatever it is. Some students, you know, we use Play-Doh, we use clay, we use Legos. You know, there's a number of things that you could choose for them to use as far as mediums to create their characters for My Create. And then basically they just set their characters on their stage that they've made, and they take a number of photos. And we talk about, you know, the more photos you have, the better. But after each photo, you move your character just a little bit to help it tell its story. And so I used My Create with the young guys, but in my tech club, I wanted to kind of bump that up just a little bit, and we used iMovie. iMovie is just a little bit more difficult, but it's absolutely not impossible. And, you know, honestly, I told the students that doing stop motion on the iMovie app is really difficult, and I had a couple of groups say, no, it's not, and they did it anyway. So I always like that when the kids can kind of show you that they know. This is a really small example, and I'm using this one not because of its great educational content, I show this one because this student, we did it in the classroom. We actually did a project where, you know, plant cycle. And so they had to show a seed grow all the way up into a plant and go through the whole life cycle of a plant. And this student enjoyed it so much, they went home and they created their own stop motion. And so like I said, this is not overly educational, but this to me spoke more about their learning in the classroom than anything. It showed me that, you know, I may have shown them something that has sparked their imagination. And so I'm going to show you this one. Oops, no, I'm not. Ready? It's not. I have a picture. Hey, I would like to show you that one.
Where's my mouse?
Don't know. We've lost the mouse.
Because it should just go when you do that.
Okay, well, I'm not going to show you that one. But anyway, basically this little doll is going to walk, and she's going to smash this snail, and they think it's hilarious. And I had to show this video about 4 or 5 times in my classroom, and they laughed hysterically every time the snail got smashed. But she has sound effects in there and everything. And I just, you know, as a 6th grade teacher, visual literacy is part of my title, and my principal, when we were talking about what she would like from that, it was, I would like, you know, basically give the kids a level playing field as they've come in from all the different elementaries. And what I found is that, sure, you know, maybe we're not all up to speed in the same places with technology, but the thing that I think we lack the most is being willing to tap into our own creativity. And so I feel like as teachers sometimes we're so worried about letting go and you know, letting the kids be in control that we forget, and they're so creative, but you know, by the time they reach upper levels, they're afraid to tap into that creativity. They're afraid to explore what they know. And so I think that's been a lesson for me as an educator. And so I think this video really demonstrated that to me, that it's not always about the technology. It's not even always about the standard or the content, but it's about allowing kids to be kids and kind of share what they know.
Okay, Quater Pics is a free app that we use a lot in our classrooms, and we know that some of our teachers in our district also use it in upper level grades. What it is an app that will create an animation, and you can put a voiceover over it, but what it does is it creates a mouse on whatever image you choose. So a lot of times I'll have my students either draw a picture or take a picture of something, or find a picture online. We use the website KidRex because it is kid-friendly, and it's very safe for our younger students. And they can make it talk, make the image talk. So we have some examples of those, if they'll work.
My papa didn't get my favorite ice cream place wasn't open because it was weekend. And we didn't get it, we got McDonald's ice cream.
Okay, this video, we were doing a text-to-self connection in our first story of the week, which I don't even remember what the story of the week was for this particular activity. And I don't know why her mouth wasn't moving. I'm not sure what was going on with that. But she was making a text-to-self connection with that, so we used it in that way for this activity. This activity was another connection in our reading. So this was on Sneezy the Snowman, I believe.
My favorite part was the snowman was melting.
So you can see that this could be very useful in any subject, really, for any grade level, and my kindergartners love using Quater Pics.
I would use Quater Pics a lot, too, when I would read a nonfiction text, and I taught the students how to code text, but also I wanted them to go back and share some things that they learned. And so they would have to go find an image that they connected with from that text. So for example, last year when we were doing our pumpkin unit, I taught first grade last year, by the way, so from first grade to sixth grade, fun times. But when we were doing our pumpkin unit, students would go and they would find a pumpkin, or they would go find a hay wagon. And so then they had to share some facts that they learned from that informational text. And so that's just another good way, a basic retelling from students, but it's in a little bit more interesting way. And what I found was if you were to ask students to write down 5 facts about pumpkins, you're going to have kids that are not very engaged and, you know, maybe not very excited. But, you know, we've learned that kids are vain creatures, and we're all, you know, we all like to hear ourselves talk, and we all like to see ourselves on video. And so anytime we can use that camera or any aspect of audio, we try to do that. It's kind of like tricking the kids just a little bit. But it also gives them that instant feedback, and it makes it a little bit more their activity than just ours. And so they would go and they would find this, and then they would share it with other students, and they would laugh and they would have fun, but in the process they're learning, and they're also showing us what they would know. This would be something that we would take, and they would save that, and they would put this into an interactive notebook. And so at the end of that week, we would be able to see their chatter pics and be able to tell that, hey, they did listen to that story, they did get that. We've also used chatter pics in writing. Last year, one of our mini snow days, my son, he's 8 years old, he was going around the house, and he was taking different pictures of different items in our house, and he was creating these chatter pics. And one of them, he took a picture of a staircase, and he made the stairs say staring contest, or, you know, things like that, kind of wordplay. And so from that, I got an idea from my 8-year-old son, a writing activity. We went around the school. We took pictures of different objects around the school or walls around the school, like the cafeteria or, you know, the office, and we called it If Walls Could Talk. And so they had to come up with things that each area of the school would have to say. And so it turned into this great little writing project, and that really branched from my son. And so we always like to tell people, if you have little ones at home, or if you don't, if you have one, you know, a student at school, and you're trying out a new app, hand it over to them, and don't give them any direction as far as just how to get in, but let them play. And through their play, you're going to find all kinds of ideas. They have the best ones. They have better ideas than we do. This next app that we're going to talk about is something that's been new to me this year. Well, I've known about it, I just haven't ventured into it yet. But this is the Aurasma app. If you've heard the hot topic, Aurasma augmented reality, that's what this is. For those of you that don't know what augmented reality is, it's basically creating what they call an aura around an object. And so if you think about very basic, like a QR code, if I scan a QR code, it takes me, it links me to a website. Well, Aurasma kind of does the same thing, except that instead of taking you away from that object or that QR code, you're going to now use an image or a poster or something that's a visual. You're going to use that as a trigger. And when you scan that trigger, it's going to automatically load this content that is linked. It's housed somewhere on the internet. I would like to tell you where. I'm not sure where there is, but it lives up probably in one of those clouds that's out there. And it's going to play that content directly on top of that that trigger. And I know that sounds very confusing, but let's see. If you'll see this right here, these are my lovely students. In the top left corner, we just finished an ancient Greece unit, and so you'll see that these two ladies, they have a poster that they've created, and that poster has an image on it. That large image in the center is what we call the trigger, and that's what students would come up, and with the Aurasma app, they would scan it. Then in the center there, you can see I am actually taking a photo of her scanning the other child's iPad, okay? And so as she scans that, if you'll notice now in that picture, the image has been replaced with a video, and it's the two girls there, and they're acting something out. And so what they were doing is they played an iMovie. They had to demonstrate in some way their knowledge of a topic, their understanding. Instead of telling me a bunch of facts about
about fashion in roles of women in ancient Greece, they actually chose to act that out. And so that's what that did. And so we walked around and we had a gallery, and students, you'll see up in the top right corner, we would scan each other's posters, and then their content would load. And it was just a really fun way to get to see their videos. Did we have to have that step? No. Did it bump up the process? Yes. And this was an introduction to augmented reality for our students. I have a bigger picture in mind. You know, as students come to the middle school, we like to do, at the beginning of the year, we have to show them around. So these 6th graders this year, at the end of the year, they're going to create a scavenger hunt for next year's 6th graders. And you could do this for 1st grade, 2nd grade, kindergarten. I know we do all those things. 5th grade maybe could even do that for the incoming kindergartners. But basically, images from around the school would become a trigger, and students can scan that and learn about what happens in that area of the school. So that's kind of my idea. This is kind of fuzzy. So I'm trying to show you how this happens. When you scan that, that image changes into that video. I don't know if that'll replay. So there's the poster, and when I scan it, watch that image is going to now change to a video. Okay? And so they went around and watched each other's videos that way. And it was, again, it was a lot of fun. And I'm not going to show you this whole thing, but this is one of the videos that the students created. These two actually did this at home. This is a good friend of mine's daughter, and he didn't mind if I share this with you. But, you know, when we do technology, we talked a lot before we did this project. You know, I don't want you to regurgitate a bunch of facts to me. My 6-year-old daughter can tell me a bunch of facts. That doesn't mean she understands it. I want you to share your content in a way that makes it interesting. So I had students, they did fashion shows, they did talk shows, they did pretended like they were anchors. So there were all different kinds of projects, and just really giving them creative license. I noticed that the ones that struggled the most were sometimes your higher level learners. They kind of sometimes wanted me to tell them exactly what to do. So that was a struggle, but once they got past that, they all did a pretty nice job. Okay, we also, even though this is a good example of how we use the technology, not for the sake of technology, but for the collaborative piece, the communication piece. All those things seem to fall together. In this picture, you'll see my kindergarten students had to create a spider web. So they had to design it in their heads, what they thought it would look like. They used their iPads, a drawing app on their iPads that we use a lot in kindergarten called Doodle Buddy. And they used it to illustrate what they think they might create as far as a working spider web. And we'd researched it all week, and this was a quick afternoon activity we did, just kind of test out what it takes to make a strong spider web. It was simple. The kids had to work collaboratively on this project, and I think that's so important to have our students working together to solve problems and to create. This was a project-based learning activity we did last fall also. Our kindergarten classes had to design a new fire map. This is part of our Fire Safety Week unit. And so what we did is we contacted our local fire chief, and he brought out the fire truck and talked with the students about fire safety. And that was kind of our launching event, our entry event to the project. And from there, he explained, we told him to do this, we gave him a little tip off here, but he said, you know, he noticed that our fire map was not current, and could we create something? So we broke into 3 groups within our kindergarten classrooms. And the first group, the group that I worked with, focused more on the creative side of it, and we had students use maker spaces, basically, we created those, for them to design the school. So we had some kids who chose to use Legos to design it. We had some kids who chose to use a drawing app to design the school. And we had some who used Play-Doh to create a model of the school. And then we had some students who just are Minecraft experts. So we let them bring in their devices and use the Minecraft app to create our school. And you could also use the app Toca Builder. I know that we do not have our students use Minecraft on their devices in our district, but we do have an app that we use a lot called Toca Builder, which does the same function pretty much. It's very kid-friendly, from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. They love using it. So they created a model of our school using the different tools. Another group created a model fire map. They just designed it in Keynote using boxes. And then another group took pictures of all the teachers and had to place the image within the Keynote that the other group had created. And then they also labeled the pictures with the teachers' names. So that was a good beginning of the year project that we used to get our students collaborating, using the technology, and doing something for a larger audience. And
sorry, I was chatting. Multitasking. This is a project. I love this little project. When I found out I was going back down to 1st grade, this is actually the first project that came to my mind, and I don't know why. And so it kind of became one of those passion projects. We live in Scott County, Indiana, which is very rural. It's very poor. If you've seen in the news, we've had some national attention for some of the negative side effects that our county kind of going through. And so our students don't always get a lot of opportunity to do some great things. And I know that a lot of you out there are in the same boat. And so how amazing is it that our students have technology and can reach beyond the borders of our county and kind of escape some of that. We actually had the opportunity to go to the Louisville Zoo last year. We're about 30 minutes north of Louisville, so that's a good resource for us. If you're not able to get to a zoo or get anywhere for that matter, there's all kinds of online ways that you can go on virtual field trips, and those things have been around for a long time. But this project, talking about going along SAMR, if you know much about SAMR model, taking things that are not possible, and so reaching beyond the classroom, bringing in outside people. So we went on virtual visits to the zoo, even though we went to the zoo. We checked out Africam. Africam is a webcam basically that's in Africa and it's set up in a lot of different habitats. 1st grade standards is about basically learning habitats of different animals. So we were able to observe the kinds of animals that visited different habitats. And we would keep that up all day. And what was interesting is that students, they would get so excited, they would take pictures with their iPads of the animals that would come onto the screen. Also, we have BrainPop. BrainPop is a wonderful resource for pulling in content. Brittany and I, we are textbook free, and so we like to pull in content from as many different places as we can. We're really fortunate here in our district. We have some really great paid sources, but BrainPop Junior is one of those. I use BrainPop still in my 6th grade classroom. And then students also use KidRex, and they got to choose an animal, and they searched and they put together a lot of different things. They put together an iMovie about animals, much like the one that Brittany showed you about the alligator earlier. I bumped it up just a little bit for the 1st graders. But not just that, they created this iMovie and they did those things. They witnessed African, they kept a log and charted the animals that came, and they did all these things. But here you see them, they've got their crowns, and they're creating a backdrop. So they had to create a habitat. They had to decide which habitat their animal was in. And I didn't tell them which habitat they had to choose, but they had to find different animals in the room that they were going to cohabitate with in their habitats. And so they had to get into groups and do that. So it was really fun to watch them. And that really showed me really quickly, you know, that they did understand habitats because they could seek out other animals that would belong in there. These two ladies were Arctic, and they were penguins, and they were adorable. And then she kind of looks kind of creepy, but she is a flamingo, and bless her heart, she was the only flamingo, and she was the only creature in the wetlands. But she created her little habitat here, and what we had was basically a living zoo.
And so we had sound effects in the background. We set up our whole room. It was an absolute mess, but it was absolutely worth it. And visitors came in, and they got to go to each habitat, and they played the videos of the students, and they were able to ask them questions. And it was just a really neat day, and the students were just so proud of their work. And I think it's something that they will always remember. But, you know, taking a project and being willing to step out just a little bit more and push it just a little bit more and make it a memorable experience. But here, this is not just, you know, and that's kid-created. I look at that and I think, you know, the coloring's not that great. But they didn't care. That's their work. They came up with the ideas of what they needed for their habitat, and I supplied as much as I could, or they brought in. But this is just another example of taking technology and blending it with things that you do in your classroom. You can take this sort of living zoo idea and apply it to a wax museum. Brittany's done a presidential sort of wax museum. Actually, her students got to go last year to ISTE, and they shared that project, kindergartners. And so when people say that little guys can't do these things, it kind of lights a fire under us to prove that they absolutely can, and they usually do so much more than what we expect them to. But collaboration, they had to collaborate with each other. We collaborated with the zoo. We actually, I think we Facebooked Brittany's kindergarten class, and we shared some things. This particular student, interesting, Brittany and I do not teach in the same buildings, but she had moved into my building and had Brittany the previous year. And so we Skyped. She wanted Mrs. Bannister to still get to see her. And so she got to present her project to Mrs. Bannister via FaceTime. Those are things that, you know, would not have happened 10 years ago. And so just really neat the experiences that this brought about for the students. But again, this is just a simple iMovie. But if you don't have iMovie, there are other movie makers out there that students can do. I don't know, what time is it? 4:43. Okay, so we're wrapping up. 6 little words. Creativity is rarely about natural brilliance or innate genius. Much more often, creativity results from properly directed attention, laser-like focus, relentless effort, and hard work. And this is a quote by Dave Burgess. If you haven't read his book, Teach Like a Pirate, amazing, one of the best, most incredible motivational speakers we've ever heard. But the 6 little words comes from something that a colleague of his had said to him. The 6 little words, I'm saying, what were the 6 little words? But they were, it comes easy to you, basically, because you're so creative. And so his thought is that, you know, all of us are creative. It's just a matter of asking the right questions. And so we want to teach the students that. And like I said, you know, this year for me, it's not been as much about the technology because kids can grasp the technology. That's never the question. They get that. I don't have to teach them anything about it. I can hand them an app and they will play around until they figure it out. But helping them foster the creativity and combining that with the technology, that's the challenge, and that's the goal. Allowing them to open their eyes to everything and all the possibilities that are out there for them. So I think that wraps up our presentation part. So I don't know if it's question time,
I think
Mary?
we've kind of kept up with the chat end of it. So is there any other questions?
We would be happy to talk to you.
Thank you, Brittany and Tiffany. That was awesome. So much great stuff that can really be taken into, you know, any grade level, any content area. You know, I was thinking of things I've got a 5th grader and an 8th grader, and both of my kids are now in a one-to-one environment, and just thinking about things that their classes are doing with different apps and ideas that you've mentioned. That can be used in so many different areas. It looks like Amy just came in with a question about assessment and how hard has it been to do assessment utilizing the technology. So go ahead.
The assessment piece has not been much harder. We use a lot of quick check assessments like Kahoot,
Socrative. We also have an LMS in our district called Canvas. So we do a lot of our assessments through Canvas. I don't do as many as at the kindergarten level. I know Tiffany uses it a lot more in the upper grades. You know, when I think about assessment, you know, there are times when, you know, you just need to know what they know. But last week, I thought, you know, I could do a quiz over Alexander the Great because it was pretty important. I spent a week on it. But what we did is I had them create a sketch note, and they had to give me 8 pieces or main ideas that they felt were important from Alexander the Great's life. And so, you know, that was kind of a different way of doing assessment, but absolutely you have websites like Socrative where you can go and build quizzes. You can do review things in there. You can also use Kahoot. There's quizzes in there. You can use Quizlet where they can create their own flashcards, and then you can take quizzes on that. And then, of course, your LMS system, whatever you use, probably has some sort of built-in quiz section in there. And so we absolutely still do traditional formative and summative assessments, but we also throw in those quick checks where it's replacing the worksheet because let's face it, we don't need to grade anything, nor do we want to grade everything. But if I can see really quickly what they're able to do, then that's more important. That guides my instruction a whole lot better sometimes than the paper pencil test. Another question?
Anything else, anyone? We will see if any other questions come in. I can go back and talk about, I'll just share with everybody let me get back to my presentation. If anybody has questions, please drop them into the chat window. And I'm going to go ahead and just share my ways to contact us as we're finishing up. Okay. Well, again, if you have another question, please drop it in the chat window. But on the screen now are just a variety of different ways to keep up with what is going on with the Office of eLearning. We have a lot of different things going on, and we hope that we're able to get to a lot of you and your needs, and just finding different ways to connect you all to each other and to different forms of learning and different opportunities. So these are just the main ways to keep in contact with us. If you go to our website, doe.in.gov/elearning, you can connect to all of these different things. They are linked to from our website. Michelle shared in the chat box that on the 22nd, Tiffany and Brittany are going to be hosting that week's Twitter chat with the newest strand in the chat. So definitely join them, especially if you've learned something or lots of things from them today. I'm sure that there will be even more in that conversation on the 22nd. So please join us then. And it doesn't look like we've had any more questions coming in, so I think we might just finish up early today. So Tiffany and Brittany, thank you guys both so much for spending the last hour with us. You guys had a lot of great things to share, and like I said, I'm sure everybody has at least one new little morsel to take back to their classroom with them. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We've always been on the other end of a webinar, and so we are just like amazed that there are people that are willing to spend their time at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. So that's how awesome Indiana is, right?
Yay! Yay! Everybody wants to get connected, and they're eager to take advantage of these opportunities.
That's great. We are so appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yes,
this is a lot of fun.
You're welcome, ladies. Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us today. And for everybody who is still on the call, I, fingers crossed, did record this webinar, so I will have it posted. We have a new YouTube a playlist in our YouTube channel where I am posting all of the webinars. So I'm a little bit behind in getting those posted, but hopefully that will be online in the next week to week and a half. And also, we will be at ICE next week, and I'm not sure if Tiffany and Brittany are going to be there or not. But
No, would love to be, but we're not.
Oh, blast. Well, anybody who is popping into ICE, Michelle and I will be there, and I believe Candace Dodson from our office is going to be there one day. So stop by our booth and say hey, and we hope to see you guys either at ICE or on the Twitter chat or in an e-learning lab webinar soon. So thank you all very much, and have a great Tuesday afternoon.